Okay, now I'm starting to think that they're just messing with me. All of you that follow my channel, my name is Old School Nerd. You know that I love folk music. You know that I love the blues and jazz and the African inspired rhythms that we now know as American, folk music. And this band's about to throw them together. This is Nightland with the blues of Ragnarok. Sit down, open your mind, your heart, your ears. It's going to freak you out. Let's go! Okay, so there's this couple from Siberia, Anatoly and Natalia, I believe. And they love folk music, okay? And from Siberia, there are forms of folk music that are beautiful, they're ancient, and they're inspired. So from where they are, they do a lot of throat singing, which a lot of you are well acquainted with because of the Hu band from Mongolia made it very popular. Well, throat singing has been around as long as music's been around. And but it's really captured in both the Mongolian culture and apparently in the folk music culture of Siberia and a few Nordic countries and whatever. Nightland burst onto the scene and they said, we're going to take our folk core that we love, that's part of their art. We're going to cross different genres, incorporate different cultural aspects from around the world, put it within what we do and share it with the world. Okay. Similar to what Electric Callboy did with Hypa Hypa, but it's not a joke, okay? You remember when Electric Callboy took Hypa Hypa and then did it in every single type of genre? Okay. But not to be funny or metal, Nightland is taking their form of cultural music from their heritage, and they're incorporating and going to different spots around the world and making a beautiful joining of cultures together. Now, this time they're going blues. And when you're talking about the blues, most people refer to that Central American, not Central America like Latin America, I mean like Central United States, Southern United States blues, jazz, folk core. Now, where all that comes from is a combination of the melting pot of the United States, bringing in different instruments like the accordion and different European instruments, and then putting them all together, you kind of get that kind of banjo sound and the accordion, and of course, violins from Europe, and you have drums, and then they incorporate the different aspects of what makes the blues amazing. Now, the blues come from what's referred to as the lower caste of people. What I mean by that is the poorer folk of Americana in our past. Now, they are African, they're European, they're Native American. They come from different aspects, but they all had one thing in common. They weren't rich. And when you live in poverty, music is your emotional outlet. Well, that's kind of how it came from. So a lot of your African rhythms and African arrangements are put into the blues and jazz. And then you have different instruments from European nations that get put in there in different ways. And then you have Native American rhythms and structures and just this emotional, burdening musical form. That's the one thing that everyone had in common, was that they were all from abject poverty, and what brought them all together was their music. Now, a lot of us now know, based upon historical records, that what we now know as rock and roll, American rock and roll, comes from the blues, comes from jazz, comes from those folk artists of the American South and American Midwest from the 1800s and 1900s. And by incorporating that with the technology of the electric guitar and studio production and putting a bunch of money from music companies behind it, it's now what we know of as rock and roll here in the United States. But that rock and that roll comes from the different folk cultures of Americana, both African, European, and Native American. That's pretty much where it comes from. Now, Nightland's from Siberia. And in their last iteration, they really went into that Nordic culture, that Northern European culture, really settled in on some of their other stuff. Now they're going to step across the pond to the United States, grab blues, bring it back to the Nordic countries, and this is called the Blues of Ragnarok. Now, when I first saw the name Blues of Ragnarok, I'm thinking, look, it's the next Thor movie. Come on, if you didn't get that joke, somebody call Taika Waititi right now, let him know we got the name of his next movie. Just saying it, okay? So I need you all to take whatever thoughts you have about where music comes from, bundle them up in a little ball, throw them over your shoulder for the next 4 minutes and 19 seconds, and realize that the basis of all music comes from the primitive cultures of the distant past. And the one thing they all have in common is their passion of music. This is Nightland. The Blues of Ragnarok. It's really the name of the song, The Blues of Ragnarok. I'm excited. I want to see this band live so bad it hurts. Oh God, you have no idea how much I love the blues. One of my first concerts, was Van Halen. Second concert was Genesis. Third concert, ready? Bobby Blue Bland, Dr. John, and B.B. King. That was my third concert. I was 12 years old. And from that moment when I saw those blues artists put their soul on a stage, I was in. And I never looked back. Here we go. Napalm Monday, Nightland. Got the goosebumps. It's their the outro from Napalm. Love everything about that. It's an instant playlist. Now I know it's not for everybody. I know that my channel's mostly revolved around metal music and stuff, and I know that Napalm Records is one of those mid-major metal labels, but this is important music. This is cultural stuff here, and it resonates with me very, very hard. I want people to take the time to listen to music from other cultures. And if you take the time and you go back far enough, you'll hear things that you hear now on the radio or now you see on YouTube, and you're like, wait a minute, it sounds exactly like that song that I heard the other day. Yeah, because it all comes from the same place, guys. It all comes from these core areas, these hearthlands, hinterlands, whether it be in the continents of Africa or Asia, Europe, even Native Americans who came in across the land bridge from Asia, Australian Aboriginals, just so many cultures. When you get down, and of course in India, you get down into the hinterlands, those core areas where the first human cultures really developed song. Start digging. You'll find some amazing stuff. And this band can just, it's so beautiful. It's haunting. Don't get me wrong. Throat singing is not, it's not for those who are closed-minded. Like someone who's just into K-pop, or someone who's just into whatever they hear on the radio, or someone who just stood 3 days in line to get Taylor Swift tickets probably won't get this. It's not for them. This is not manufactured. This is not pushed by some record label. Sorry, Napalm. What I mean is industry label. You know, this is an artist bringing it back to the basics. By the way, that that classic blues run with the tag on the end. The first time I ever heard that was when B.B. King did it when I was 12. The next time that I heard it was when I was 15. I went with my family, and we were fortunate enough to go to Africa, and we went to a Maasai tribal gathering. We were fortunate enough to be invited, and that was the second time I heard it. The women were singing this beautiful melodic tone singing as part of their musical services, and these women were doing this rolling chant, and when they got to the end of an 8 count, the men would echo it, da, da, da. And I went, that's the blues. It's just the Maasai tribe doing it. It was their ancient song. So, see? It all comes full circle. My name is Old School Nerd, and I love blues, and I love jazz, and I love Nightland. Can't get enough of this band. This couple is amazing. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Also, if you want to subscribe, right there. Big thank you to all my Patreons out there. We appreciate everything you do. If you want more content like this video, check them out above. Remember, love one another, take care of each other. We're all stuck on this mud ball together. We'll see you later.